I'm going to call the meeting to order. First thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you. There a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any objection to approving the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
May I ask a question on the consent agenda? So the policy JHFB.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's put it on, move it so that we can then have discussion.
Okay, we move that we can discuss policy JHFB.
Okay,
Move it off the consent agenda and move it so we can discuss it.
We can do that, or we can say, I move that we approve the consent agenda, then we
except
can have a
for,
discussion.
Yeah.
Except for, that sounds better.
Okay.
okay, so do you want to move?
Yes. I move that we approve the consent agenda, but with the exception of policy JHFB that we can discuss later.
Okay,
I'll second that.
perfect. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Opening up for discussion on what was the policy?
JHFB, video surveillance policy.
Oh, okay, J. Okay, there it is. But I was reading it as EB. Do you want to have that discussion now?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. Most of the institutions I've been part of, when they have a video surveillance policy, that policy includes things that what happens to the recordings that we make. And this policy doesn't include anything to that effect. So I was curious if that's housed in a different policy, because a lot of times these policies have things like how long the recordings are kept, if of the third party stored, that kind of stuff. And that's not, this is a pretty sparse policy, and I just wanted to know if maybe those things are housed in a different place, or
Yeah, is that covered under our time limit? We had that one treatment of documents.
Oh, retention of records. It may be covered in there. I know that it's covered in Oregon statute, which is likely one of the ones that's referenced here at the bottom. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you which one.
Okay.
And this is not a new policy, but it is it's coded wrong from what OSBA codes it. So that was the only change we made to this. But as far as the retention, I couldn't tell you the exact time, but I remember our IT director telling me what it was based on the ORS.
I'm looking at Human Resources Director Michelle Barton, because she just was in a student records session at the law conference.
We're talking specifically video surveillance.
Correct, not student records, and so that's kind of where there's the gray area. And I don't have the exact answer. We could certainly work with Spencer Lewis to get some more answers on this policy.
I just want to make sure that the district has an up-to-date and reasonable policy for video surveillance, because particularly in the world we live in, where video gets shared and put on third-party platforms and stuff like that, it would make sense to me for this policy to have a little bit more details about what we're going to do with these recordings and how long we're going to keep it.
Okay. I will reach out to OSBA and ask them those questions. And then I'll follow up with you and the rest of the board. I will inform everyone. And if after I've given you what OSDA says, if you think it warrants going back to policy committee, then we can absolutely do that. Or if you say, oh, that makes sense to me, then move forward with it, then we'll do that.
That sounds perfect. Thank you so much.
So are we gonna table it for tonight, or are we gonna wait? Or would you just as soon have us pass it and come back to it if we need to?
Let's table it for tonight.
Okay.
Because it's, like I said, it's only the code that's changing. We've gone this long. We've gone since 2011 with that code. I think we can manage another month or so.
Excellent.
Okay, now part of the consent agenda I noticed was that surplus list, and I do have a question about one of the items.
Okay.
This kiln, why are we selling a kiln? And where was it? And why aren't we using it in an art program?
I would have to get more information from Loma Lee. I believe it's at maintenance.
It's what?
It's being housed at maintenance department at their location. It's been there for years.
Does it work?
I don't.
Do you know if it's electric?
I don't.
They're probably electric because most of them are them. Oh,
But we can hold
okay.
off. We can hold off on surplusing that item if you'd like.
because you're gonna do it this Friday, right?
Correct.
Yeah, hold off. I'm gonna contact the college anyway and see if their ceramics programs can use it. And I know that the Coos Bay Museum or Art Museum is starting a whole ceramics program along with their drawing arts program. So they may want it.
Wouldn't we still have to?
But it's, I think
They would-
the process still, based on what I understand from the facilities committee, the process of surplusing it is actually what would allow us to give it to those institutions.
Oh, and that's fine, but let me just ask them if they want it.
Well, they can bid.
I know, but I may not have a chance to talk to
They might want to know what size it is too.
Yeah.
Because if it's a teeny tiny one, they might, but if it's a big, you know what I mean, like size makes a difference.
them. Well, this price would indicate that it's a reasonably,
Might be.
So we can hold off on including it all in the sale until we have further details and then. we
and
can
then
add
put it
next.
in the next sale.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I appreciate
We
it.
Yeah.
stored it for 20 years now. I might as well put it.
How often,
Yeah.
how often are those sales?
We have not
As needed.
done as needed, but we're going to begin monthly updates to the board of what is being surplus, and we'll do it via our new website.
Perfect. Okay. Next on the agenda, items for information is advanced health.
Yes, Mr. Sam Baugh. Sam?
Hi. So happy to be here in front of you all today. Okay, so Advanced Health, as many of you know, is the local coordinated care organization. We administer the Oregon Health Plan or Medicaid throughout Coos and Curry County. And just kind of a little bit of background, Advanced Health covers 23,000 residents in Coos County. That's a third of our county population and nearly half of all the children. So if you walk through the school and say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, you're going to have about half of those are going to be on Advanced Health. And as such, we, at the end of every year, now I don't know if the board of directors know this, but the principals enjoy watching me come by every December. But every December for the past 4 years, we've been giving each school individually $5,000 for their at-risk youth programs. And what that means is we started this, when we started this about 4 years ago, we had an internal debate, said, hey, do we want to give every school, do we want to do a coat drive? Do we want to do a shoe drive? Do we want to do blankets? Do we want to do food? And what we found when we started calling around the different schools, each school has a different need. The same things that are going on over in Eastside are not the same things going on over at Madison. And so we said, hey, and definitely the high school, it definitely has a different need. So what we are doing is we're giving each school individually $5,000 for their at-risk program that they can administer however they feel is going to be the best for their students. And so I have a check here for each individual student, or sorry, each individual school, not students.
Yeah.
Wow. That was tough. And with a letter addressed to each of the principals. And so, what we found when we started calling around the different schools, each school has a different need. The same things are going on over in Eastside are not the same things going on over at Madison. And so we said, hey, and definitely the high school, it definitely has a different need. So what we are doing is we're giving each school individually $5,000 for their at-risk program that they can administer however they feel is going to be the best for their students. And so I have a check here for each individual student, or sorry, each individual school, not students. I'd like to give that to each of the principals, and then if we can take a minute, and we're just going to do one of those fun little hold up a check and take a picture thing. And if that's all right. So,
If we could, Addie, when the time can we recess? Go
Yes.
with the board and the principals take photo.
Yep.
Come back.
so I have Principal Ashton.
Principal Ashton, excuse me, can I put you on the spot and ask kind of what you've used some of those funds for in the past?
Yeah, so majority of this goes to our at-risk students, whether it's with food in the nurses station. We buy a lot of backpacks, clothes, toiletries. So any students that want to have access to that have ready access to student service. So that's a huge portion of it. And then we also supplement some of the food that we do for our food baskets for Christmas.
Thank you.
Principal Ardall. Principal Ainsworth.
Will you put this to such good use at Madison? Thank you so much.
What do you do with it?
Same coats, food, toiletries. We have our food pantry going. We were able, like all of our schools were able to use it for some of our food boxes for Thanksgiving. So lots of good stuff. Thank you so much.
Principal Davidson.
Try again.
Principal Davidson.
Thank you.
Principal Guthrie. I think you're about the only principal I don't know. So, Principal Ed.
Yes.
Interim principal
No, principal, yeah, I know.
and Brooke. And I know all of your students are at risk. So anyway, so if we could
Okay,
have a
okay, we're going to, adjourn, not adjourn.
Brief recess.
brief recess.
No, we're gonna go into recess just to take a picture. Okay, we're back from a little break. Next on our agenda is our Marshfield representative, Warren.
How do I broadcast onto this week?
You can either join the meeting or you could send it to me and I can pull it up for you if you'd like.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can you spell your last name?
Cagley. But I think that my email is just Dave NC.
DaveNC@cdk12.com.
Yep. Gary, can I borrow that clicker from you?
Yes. Do you want to walk it over to Warren?
I just need the, yep.
Do you want to walk this over?
Yes, if you would. Just one moment and I'll have you up and running. Warren.
Here we go.
Okay. So for the beginning of my presentation, I'll be discussing the opinions from the students. So if I go all the way down a couple of times, there should be a link so you can see what the students' opinions were. It's all anonymous so that they have freedom of speech and so on. So over this, we covered 3 topics. Our first topic was the opinions of the students from AP Seminar. So for sophomores, AP Seminar was a requirement. And this was about whether people wanted to stay or change to be optional. So I come back. So here was what the votes we got until the last few days. That light blue 26% are people who didn't have an opinion or were past sophomore year. 6.5 were the small people who wanted it to stay as a requirement for all, and the 67.5 wanted it to be an optional class. So moving on from that, this is subtracted by the neutral parties. This is what we had. We had with the minority of the median blue, which is people wanted to stay, was 8.77%. And with the majority was dark blue of 91.23% for the change. There were 154 student votes at the time.
And those students are sophomores, correct, Warren?
No, it's everyone in the school.
Everyone in the school. Okay.
Yes.
But that group just in the AP Seminar students.
So here we have over the next 2 things, we covered tallies. Each person had an individual response in the sheet. And so we took whatever we could find and that we could decipher and we tallied it together. So our major ones were for ideas and problems. Next, we have the English teachers' opinions.
Wait a minute, clean bathrooms was the #1 vote getter under things that they were wishing for?
For ideas and what they could change on the school.
That was 12 out of 500.
I'm surprised.
So these were the English teachers' opinions. We had one who wanted it to stay a requirement and one who didn't want to share their opinion, and the other 4 wanted it to change.
What to change?
The
Uh,
AP seminar.
AP seminar?
Being optional, right? Whether, like, keep it there, but have it be optional versus the requirement.
Yeah.
Next we have events. So the winter choir concert will take place at December 17th. The site council met Heritage Hall today at 4 p.m. I do not know what POPS is, but on January 14th at 7 p.m. there will be the POPS concert. Dracula will be starting on the 16th of January, performed by, I remember it being an audition. I'm not sure who all took place, but I assume the drama club. And then speech and debate happened. There was an event Friday and Saturday with the majority winning for Marshfield.
Can I ask a quick question? Can anybody else tell us what the POPS is? POPS concert? Anyone?
Mr. Ashton?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Thank you. I was gonna say, got you. Okay.
Thank you.
So next for school events, we have winter break, which will begin on December 22nd and will end January 1st. We have the end of semester, which will be on January 29th. JV/varsity basketball will play against Eden Valley on 12th of December and Phoenix the day after. At a comparison rate from our AP classes to the nation, 44% of students were in AP classes in our school compared to the US, which is 33 to 35%.
Did that include the AP seminar?
I believe so. And that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I just compliments. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciated the student opinions and the graph, and that was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that was
you.
different. I like that.
Yeah.
Question for you, Warren. What tool did you use to survey?
So I used an online poll. I talked to Mr. Ashton to get permission. And if you look here, you'll see it's a small questionnaire that was put on classes of 2028, 29, and so on. And then we have 2 questions.
And then how did you, your response rate is actually pretty high for just a spontaneous survey like this. So I'm kind of wondering what methods you use to get that response rate as high as it does.
That is important to bring up. So for the first part, when we were talking about problems, we had all of the students' votes. But when we got to ideas, everyone was having ranges of 1 to 2 because everyone had such a vastly unique idea. So what we did was we showed every leadership student an ASP, and we had them do a tally to which ones would be easier to show because you don't want to waste all your time.
I was curious, though, you said you've got 154 unique responses
Yes.
out of the school with roughly 700 or more students.
Okay.
How did you publicize this to get that many of your students to respond? Because that's a decent number of your colleagues at school respond.
Well, it was the main reason that we even made the poll was because most of the students were concerned about it, and we utilized that to bring it to attention. So we went to the English departments and we asked them to let everyone know the poll is available, and then we had leadership students go around and ask everyone. So
That's great.
Yeah,
Good job.
it worked.
Good job. Thank you.
Warren, can I set up a time with Mr. Ashton to come and visit with you up at the high school and look at the data a little bit more?
of course.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Next on our agenda is public input.
We did
Did
not
we
have
have
any,
anyone sign up?
we did not.
Okay, we will move on to OSEA business. Is Bree here?
She just stepped up.
She'll be right back.
Okay, then why don't we go on to CBEA business and come backwards?
How's it going? Okay, so I'm here to talk about CBA and just kind of highlight some of the staff members lately. Okay, so the first one is the Oregon Teacher of the Year program. And so basically the Oregon Teacher of the Year program started in 1955. Candidates for the Oregon Teacher of the Year should be exceptionally dedicated, knowledgeable, and skilled licensed public school educators in grades pre-K through 12. The candidate should be planning to continue an active teaching status for the subsequent academic year. A candidate for the Oregon Teacher of the Year, the following should be true: be an expert in their field who guides students in all backgrounds and abilities to achieve excellence, collaborate with colleagues, students, and families to create school culture of respect and success, deliberately connect the classroom and key stakeholders to foster a strong sense of community. And for the 2025-26 school year, Kimberly Agricola was awarded the Teacher of the Year for the South Coast region. Kimberly Agricola teaches math at Sunset Middle School and believes it is her goal to not only help students become proficient in math, but also to help them believe in their ability to learn, grow, and persevere through challenges. This is a huge honor and only the second time the honor has been bestowed on a member in the Coos Bay School District. So if you see her, please congratulate her because it's pretty awesome. And then we'll move on to Marshfield. So basically, our principal, Eli Ashton, decided he wanted to survey the students to find out what their thoughts were in regards to their teachers. And the following spotlights are from the students' perspectives, along with some fun facts for the background information from the teachers. So first one is Miss Blondell. So she teaches PE and health. Years at Marshfield is 14 years. What the students say about her is students describe Miss Blondell as one of the kindest and most caring teachers at Marshfield High School. They appreciate her calm, supportive, and understanding approach while still encouraging them to do their best. Many students note that she goes out of her way to help students make learning fun and build genuine connections through humor and care. Her students consistently say she's their favorite teacher and admire how she balances kindness with high expectations. And what she likes about Marshfield High School is the family atmosphere and inclusiveness. And then the other one's that guy. Any questions?
We don't get to hear about you? My eyes are not great.
You have to read it all.
Yeah.
Would you like to read it?
Okay, there we go.
It's kind of weird.
He was also the other original Teacher of the Year.
That is true.
You can point that
Oh,
out.
left that part out there, Mr. Crook.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay. He teaches manufacturing at Marshfield, and he's been there for 11 years. The students said students describe Mr. Cook as an encouraging, patient, and dedicated teacher who genuinely cares about helping them learn and grow. They appreciate how he gives students the freedom to explore their interests while providing guidance and real-world experiences in engineering and manufacturing. His focus on safety, hands-on learning, and respect for all students creates a positive and engaging classroom environment. Many students say his class is both enjoyable and valuable, and they admire his commitment to going above and beyond for his students. What he loves about working at MHS, do you know what you said?
Continue learning and sharing that information with my students.
Good job. That's good.
Thank you very much.
Who picks the staff spotlight?
That one you're gonna have to ask Miss.
Okay.
So I had probably I did a Google form and had about 187 students respond. And so Mr. Crook and Ms. Blondell were the top vote getters. So then I would add next month and so on. And it's all staff, it's not just certified, it's classified, everybody.
And I have to say, in some of my learning walks, I learned in Mr. Crook's class about how a dice, it's the opposite side is always two less to the side you're looking at. I had no idea.
Hmm.
Opposite sides add to 7.
But and they had to say, yeah, they had to say.
So it's 6 and the
And
one.
and you meant die.
Die.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Robles, my
Yeah.
former principal.
All right. Any questions?
Okay, are there any questions?
Thank you.
Nope, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Bree, we're coming back to you.
I know. I thought I had time to use the restroom. Good evening. Today or this month, our staff spotlight is Cade Hess. And he was nominated not only by his peers of classified workers, but also by teachers that he worked with and the admin that he works for. And so that is how he has got up here today. Cade Hess exemplifies what it means to go above and beyond for our students, colleagues, and his school community. And he's also recently gotten involved in a dedicated OSEA Chapter 33 member. Cade brings the same enthusiasm, reliability, and heart to his advocacy as he does to his daily work at Sunset School. His infectious positivity and unwavering commitment make him a tremendous asset. Consistently steps in whenever he is needed, supporting the ISP when short-staffed, subbing for teachers under his emergency sub-license, and seamlessly returning to his educational assistant role without missing a beat, which many times he'll do that in one day. Making sure that he's still checking in with his students in his role as an educational assistant while also subbing in a classroom. And no matter the task, Cade approaches every responsibility with professionalism, creativity, and genuine care. He deeply understands the challenges many students face, especially those from lower economic backgrounds, and he never lets circumstances limit expectations. Instead, he actively seeks ways to remove barriers, encourage engagement beyond the school day, and ensure all students feel capable, included, and supported. Cade builds meaningful relationships, provides consistent encouragement, and is known for saying, "If you need anything, let me know," and truly meaning it. Staff describe Cade as outstanding, a true team player, flexible, dependable, and always willing to wear multiple hats to meet student needs. He's a positive role model, a trusted listening ear, and an overall great human being whose presence makes Sunset School a better place for both students and staff. And his colleagues lovingly add, his wife is pretty amazing too. Thank you, Cade, for your compassion, leadership, and countless ways you lift up your school, your students, and your union community. And then as far as updates go, I don't really have any other updates except for we are working with organizing of having our building reps meet with admin regularly to kind of be more proactive in our approaches to make sure that we are facing problems before they become a problem. So that's about all that I have for you guys today. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, thanks. I cut off like 7 inches, so I can't get it up in a bun anymore. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Okay. Business office, Marina, you're up.
Hello, I have quite a stack of things for you today. Well, I guess for you it's virtual, but for me it's a stack. So I'll just walk through them in the order. So starting, I have the check listing from November. I looked through, there's not anything significant of note, other than that there are 2 checks written to me due to travel, which I did not actually do. I did not go to the COSA conference, and so we avoided both of those, but I'm listed there twice and I don't like that on a board meeting, so wanted that clear. And then
That's a good question.
yes, please.
That first item, cosmetology college.
So we are also the fiscal agent for the scholarship committee, the Marshfield Scholarship Committee. So typically November, early December, we'll write the winter term checks for all of those students. And so there's quite a number of those scholarship payments.
So this is money that came into
No,
us.
that's money we've spent on a student to go to school.
Correct.
I know,
Somebody was awarded.
but this is we're spending it as a result of a scholarship. So we
Correct.
did get income to
Correct.
cover that.
So the scholarship committee is one of our special revenue funds.
Yeah.
And so we're able to issue that check.
Yep.
Yep. But I didn't notice any other significant expenditures other than one that we don't typically have for Oregon Employment Department for $54,000. That is the September 30th quarter of unemployment benefits that we were charged from our unemployment rate because we're self-insured. So that's our portion net of the credit. Yeah.
I just want to say on the scholarship committee, earlier in the year, there was a very large check. So most of the money we give out in scholarships come from one check
Mhm.
that the Oregon Community Foundation, who invests all of our money, gives us 4.5% of the value of all that money. And they give it to us in a check once a year to give out in scholarships.
Yeah, so it sits in our Fund 210. Sits in Fund 210 and then we issue checks as they're due throughout the year based on whatever the scholarship agreement is. Other than that, there was nothing of note, but does anyone have any questions on checks? Okay, next we'll move on to the monthly financials, which I want to apologize. Having the board meeting on the 8th is really challenging because we do not often get our bank statements until usually the 5th or the 6th. So it's really hard to get it processed and then upload all our financials in time for a board meeting. So you guys have not had a significant amount of time to prepare and review this. Everything is looking great in the general fund in that we are within budget expenditures. It is estimating at this time, based on our historical trends, that we will be over 2 functions, instruction and support services in the general fund. Our historical trends are valuable until significant expenditures change and different processes change. And this year, we no longer contract with the ESD. So now the life skills payment that we made twice a year is now a monthly expenditure to us. And so it's expecting and anticipating that we'll still be paying all that money to the ESD. And then also because of the contract negotiations with OSEA, a lot of our historical trends were incorrect because we did such a large retro payment in September. And then we also now are paying our paid non-working days rather than vacation days that we all paid at the end of the year in the past. We did a large payout in June, but now we're spreading that out throughout November through June. So it's looking monthly like we have much higher expenditures than we've had in the past, but rather we're spreading that. So its forecasting will be higher than over budget allocations, but I'll continue to monitor. If I feel like we're getting close, I'll present you with a supplemental budget or an appropriation transfer.
Quick question. So the, just so I understand them being this correctly, so the total operating expenditures, now the bottom line, where it's a sort of a negative variance of $583,000. That's the projection you're talking about that you think is off, or?
I would estimate that we're actually off more than that because of the historical trends. But
Okay.
if it's just looking at our historical month percentages of expenditures, it's anticipating will be $584,000 above budget allocations.
Budget. So we, in simple business terms, in the black, not in the red. So when I'm used to seeing things in parentheses being in the red. This is parentheses.
Correct. In that it's a variance from budget numbers. So it's a, yeah, it's the way this system works. Forecast 5, who builds our monthly reports, it flip flops that variance, whether the red is a negative or not. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. They're not the cleanest to read, and that's just purely a projection. So when I'm looking, I look primarily at the 25, 26 YTD actuals, and we're well within budget allocation. And my goal is to spend Christmas break going through those historical trends and kind of clearing out the percentages that are throwing into this field.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. The special revenue funds, I presented our standard monthly report, but later you will see I've actually broken out some of our more significant special revenue funds, so you can see them separately. And I'll continue to do that monthly as we have larger grants that are coming in. There's nothing of significant note in special revenue funds because it's all grants that come in and grants that go out. We don't go over our allocations because we submit monthly reporting for those. Debt service, we did do our first set of debt service payments November 28th. So it was our interest payment for the GO bonds. Our final PERS UAL bond is due June 2026. So we'll have a rather large payoff in June, but then you'll not see such a large payment other than the GO bonds in this fund. And then capital projects, we don't have any large scale capital projects like we have for the last 6 years. This year it's rather quiet, it feels like. And so you don't see significant expenditures in this. I'm knocking on wood now that I said
I was
that.
gonna say, it is a principle,
I
you never
know.
say the Q word.
Well, in the financials, it's usually not that big of a deal, but now I'm talking about facilities. We're looking good. We're going to continue on the projects that Loma has identified as top tier for this year, and then we're looking at how we can make some of those much bigger projects financially possible in the next couple of years, like the Sunset Roof. The last page, is it the last page on the upload?
It is.
Okay, perfect. So this last page is a new form to you all, and it is a select group of special revenue funds. And by select group, I picked the largest grants that are typically single audits. They're usually federal awards that are more likely to be identified as audit and audited from ODE. And so I wanted to be able to say I'm presenting it to you guys monthly separately. And so on this form, you'll see each purple line is a new fund, and you'll see it in comparison to the budget for just that one fund alone, year-to-date expenditures and then encumbrances. So you can see that we're within our grant allocations. I'll continue to add on to this because there's so many special revenue funds, but it was going to be like 4 pages, so I wrote them all out for you. I will begin including things like AMHS, IDEA funds, our larger scale special revenue funds, so you can see where we're at with our grant allocations and our funds that are revenue driven, things like food service, KMHS radio.
So is SSA a grant?
It is.
So it would be one of those.
Yes, it's right, actually right in the middle. We refer to it as student investment account, but it's Fund 224. Yeah. And these are budget allocations that we actually have in the budget document. So they'll agree to what's in there. As I get better at this Excel pulling from iVisions, we may look at adjusting for what's actually approved in the grant narratives in comparison to the budget and then what we're spending. It's all a work in progress, but if there's something you'd like to see, please let me know and I'd be happy to adapt or That's all for my financials. Enrollment is steady. We are only down 3 in total from last month, which is really great. The decline has slowed.
How many?
3.
Oh, I thought you said 70.
No, 3. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And they were at the high school, which is very typical. We're still, myself and Shelley Fuller, our synergy expert, are working to pull some reporting on those dual enrolled students who's enrolled at the high school, but also CPT online. It's, her words were, it's near impossible to pull a report that will tell us that. But she spent some time going through today. She pulled about 79 records and could figure out who was cross-enrolled and actually taking classes at the high school and online versus opening online. So hopefully we can narrow that down for you guys so we have more complete numbers on enrollment. Yeah.
I just wanted to say back to your budget management analytics. I really like this, the special revenue page.
Oh,
that's really interesting to me. And I just want to make sure that the budget number, so the one that's in the upper left of each little chart, is actually also the award.
No, so this was just the budgeted amount, and I budget very conservatively. So all of our actual allocations were higher than what was budgeted.
So is that number on these?
It's not yet because
Okay.
we're getting final allocations even still now.
Right.
Because of the shutdown. So my goal next month is that I'll have almost another column that is our actual award and where it's been approved by the federal government as spending out.
That's done, yeah, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And then back to the ESD, where does that fall? That's not special revenue.
No, so the ESD is actually a separate entity, and so they're not within our books.
Okay.
But when I was referring to the ESD, because we contract through them, we used to write them about $1.6 million of a check each year to payments for adaptive life skills services, and we're no longer doing that because we're self-run.
So are we, I mean, maybe this is something I should know and I don't, apologize. Are we contracting, that's the proper word, with DST for anything?
We are. So,
okay.
So the way state school fund flows is that certain percentage is set aside for an ESD, and they're legally required to spread out a certain percentage of that to all their school districts. And so they call those our service credits based on our ADM, and we submit theoretically, they give us a menu and we order off of that for many services. We use it for things like occupational and physical therapy, nursing services, evaluations for autism.
And so, but that menu, that information really isn't in your, in this budget information.
No, that's like, we spend it through their financial system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I can give you all the backup on that if you want to see how we've chosen to spend.
I am really interested.
Okay.
I would like to see
We can
that.
show you our own speak.
I've heard about the menu.
Yeah, I'll have to share that
I'm
with
curious
you.
to see what's on it. Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
a
and it
big binder
changes.
of it in my office.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Yeah.
It changes every year.
Yeah.
Based on what they believe we need.
Right.
Yeah. Or districts. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions on the financials? I'm sorry, I skipped past those. Okay. I'm gonna skip past enrollment then too, since it's pretty stagnant, and just quickly touch on the last item, which is the state school fund analysis. And this is again a new report that I'm providing to you guys, because as we are getting into a time of fiscal challenges at the state level, I want it to be really clear that as state changes are made, they do impact us, maybe not the same level, but we rebalance the state school fund a plethora of times throughout the year, which then changes the revenue that we bring in. And the state school fund is a 3-year process for each year. So what I've presented to you is just this year alone, what they've told us we're going to get, and then every single change thereafter. For us, again, I budget very conservatively. So we're actually receiving more state school fund at this time than I have budgeted before, which is great. It offsets things when other revenues don't come in as high, or when negotiations go past summer and you can't budget for all of the expenditures that are needed. So the second column to the left, yeah.
Do you have a, obviously it's nice to sort of come in with a little bit of extra money versus be searching for more that you don't have. But do we have a target for how close we're trying to be? You know, because we want to be plus or minus a little bit.
Mhm.
We don't want to always be either over or under. So what's our target there? How close are we trying to get?
Our target is about 10 ADM. So this is, again, a 3-year process with state school fund. So right now, the superintendent and I will budget and estimate ADM, actual seats and bodies, and then also weights for next school year. And we continue to adjust that as actual numbers come in. And that's part of why it gets rebalanced so many times. It just happens to be that Dr. Ainsworth and I last December, because we're both relatively new, we're more conservative on the weights, and that's effectively why it was more low than we would typically assume. But we try and get within 10 weights. So it's not a significant, it's about $100,000 at that point that we might be adjusting between, but I'd rather be under so that in 3 years come May, we're not seeing negative rebalance of the state school fund.
Get the bill. Yeah.
Which
And-
has happened.
Yeah, there were actually several districts in our superintendent forums that when the November 17th adjustment was made, had to really go back and make some tough decisions already. because they're already facing. They were have to go back to make some adjustments.
And from the budget perspective, that's basically our contingency.
It's above and beyond our contingency fund. For the way I'm looking at it this year is we had in the budget conversations last spring discussed using some of our service credits potentially as money incoming to our district because we weren't going to be spending so much on adaptive life skills. But because ESD's costs rose so high in a year, we actually didn't have any additional service credits that we had anticipated. And so this state school fund increase is kind of offsetting those additional dollars we thought we'd bring in. Is how we're looking at that. But as a district, it's a constantly changing crystal ball for state school fund. And so I just want it to be really clear as we're talking about budgets and upcoming real numbers, that when things change the state school fund, I'll continue to bring you updates so you can see where we're at from budget, because this happened so many times throughout the year based on every other school district's ADM and what their estimate was 2 months ago. And so you'll continue to see these because I have a feeling the state school fund will continue to increase and change much more rapidly than it has in the past.
Yep.
Typically it was like 2 times a year, December and May maybe. This year it's been 5 and it's only December. So just wanting to keep everybody kind of in the loop with state school fund, as it will and could significantly impact our budget come spring and our day-to-day operations.
Would you be willing to put together just like a 1 or 2 page document explaining ADM, explaining the factors that you use to estimate for our district for the board members' benefit? Just I think I'm not a financial person, and it would be helpful to understand it more granular.
I'd be happy to. It's actually the week that we submit for next year. And so as I'm forecasting and working with Dr. Roberts, Mr. Roberts for next year, that will be, we'll kind of gather all that information presented to you.
Not urgent, don't let it get in the way of important, but it would be helpful to since we're going to be seeing this more often, to have a shared vocabulary about what the important metrics we should be looking at when we make these kind of forecasts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's all I had, unless anyone has any more questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, I have SIA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's.
I thought you had a whole other issue.
I was trying to get away from it.
I know.
Okay, state rules have changed again, and while we used to be able to present you just the grant agreement as we've accepted this grant agreement, the board now has to approve it. So this is the Student Success Act, our grant agreement with ODE that essentially says our allocation, hoops that we're going to jump through. We already jumped through all of them. This, interestingly, is for the last 3 quarters of this year and all of next year. So as long as the board is okay with me sending and submitting the new grant agreement that's signed, we will be able to draw down some of our SIA dollars.
The only thing I noticed is that Justin Ainsworth is still listed.
Yes.
He's had a meeting.
They've changed it at their level, but they said they didn't need to submit a new grant agreement because those things change.
So
Superintendent Davis changed so fast.
Because sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
So,
and you need a motion to.
Just to approve that we accept the grant.
Do I have a motion?
I'll motion that we accept the SIA CBSD grant agreement.
I will second that with a common statement. Every session, this comes up as a grant they don't want to give it. So we need to be on top of this because it's a fairly good chunk of money.
And that was a discussion this weekend at a conference I was at. So.
We spend every dollar.
Unappropriate.
Unappropriate things. And
Yeah.
it helps our educational programs. So.
It's about 3.2 million a year.
And actually, these grants have some work.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve our contract with, or our grant agreement or SSI. Is there any further discussion? Derek?
Aye.
Maybe?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Brittany? Diane?
Aye.
And chair votes aye.
Aye. Kim.
Oh, and Kim.
Aye.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay. That passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up. I think it's David. Oh, no, superintendent report.
It's me.
Very.
Hey, Warren, may I please have that clicker for me, bud? Like, oh, get that for me? Maybe halfway, or you could cost me, or. Thank you. All right, let's see, we working here, David? All right, good evening, everybody. December superintendent report. I am going to present some data tonight on two different items. The first one is the co-curricular survey data. And I want to start putting, when I put these slides in and provide this data, to be able to tell you exactly what superintendent goal this was hitting. I almost wanted to say, is Warren's, can I count Warren's survey tonight as one of my superintendent goals? But tonight, going over the co-curricular data survey is going to accomplish superintendent goal 4, investigating, establishing a need for additional programs. And I'm going to paraphrase it. Also, administer at least 2 community and student surveys focusing on climate and student voice. I feel like this falls within those. We're going to have much more than 2, but I feel like it falls in there. Results will be analyzed and shared with constituents, and the findings will be used to inform decisions. Part of our KPIs, this is our 100% co-curricular participation in the 7th and 8th grade, and our 70% co-curricular participation amongst the high school students. It's buzzes and then it goes away. I think it might have died battery again. Can't move. So before I get in, I just want to remind our board and the folks that might be watching and listening at home that co-curricular participation is considered any activity either sponsored by the school district or a community group that has students working with a trusted adult and a positive peer group. And so what I did was I took the data from the survey. I didn't look as much at what kids were doing as much as how many were doing for this session. I have that data. I'll continue to analyze it as we look at programs, but I wanted to look at participation. And we surveyed the students with all of our school-sponsored activities and sports. We included other items like Babe Ruth baseball, CCYS soccer, youth group, 4-H. We included some of our clubs like Dungeons and Dragons and some of our other clubs within the district that the junior high sponsors. And what we found is, of the 782 students that are 7th graders at the junior high, we had 161 students respond. 36% of our respondents are not doing any co-curricular at the junior high. Okay. 64% of the students that responded are doing at least one. And then of the students that responded, 57% are doing 2 or more. So what we're finding is the kids that are participating, most of them are participating in more than one activity, which is great. The more we can get them included in things, the better. 8th grade, we're having a harder time getting these kids surveyed. We're going to keep bringing them in individually. It takes 5 minutes to do the survey. But of the 194 students that are in our 8th grade class, 120 responses, 23% of our respondents are not doing a co-curricular, 77% are doing 1, 38% are doing 2 or more. Okay. Next slide, please.
Do we count church groups as?
Yes, I was. Yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't say I was. We were.
Yes.
Moving on to Marshfield High School. These are broken down by class. So 9th graders, 217 total students, 191 responses. I'm just going to go to 85% of our kids are doing at least one activity. So we're meeting our KPI at the high school. And again, I included clubs, Pirate Underground, Latinx Club. All of our club activities are sports and activities at the high school, and then community-based activities as well. 42% of our freshmen are doing 2 or more activities, co-curriculars. Of our sophomores, 180 respondents, 84% are doing at least one co-curricular, 56% are doing two or more. Our juniors, 80% of the 150 students that responded, 80% are doing at least one, or excuse me, are doing one or more, yes. And then 55% are doing two or more. And then of our seniors, 79% of the 126 respondents are doing co-curricular, 51% are doing two or more. So we're meeting our KPI at the high school for co-curricular student participation. We still have some work to do getting some more senior respondents. Mr. McCord is on it. He actually has about 10 more that have been done since I started crunching this number last week. But a lot of positives in our kids being involved. I also want to start taking the data when I can and start looking at comparing the students' academic progress that are doing those co-curriculars versus the students that aren't, the students that are doing two or more versus just our single co-curricular students, and kind of gauge that. So it's kind of our next steps with this data. But overall, our KPI, we're doing well at the high school. We got lots of kids doing lots of things.
Hand in hand with that, do we know, are you making an effort then to attract the kids that aren't?
Yes, I'll get to that here in just a moment of kind of what some
Can you
next.
remind me of the rationale for why the KPI is different for the junior high versus the
Yes. When the KPI was developed late last spring, the thought was at the high school level, we have more students that have jobs that have to support family, be that extra income for their families. Some also have to do some daycare, things like that for siblings, so parents can work. So it's kind of an evolution of students. Some of our students are also involved in some internships and things like that are in the afternoons and don't allow them to participate as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Destinations. So destinations is one freshman. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. We got one kid out and he's not participating in a co-curricular at this time. We have 4 respondents out of our 6 for sophomores, and one of those 4 students is doing an extracurricular at destinations. And then at the 11th grade level, we had 14 respondents, and it was 50-50. So 7 students are participating in a co-curricular. A couple of those students are doing 2 or more. And then you can see at the senior level, we had 15 respondents and 47% of those students, so that'd be about 7, are doing at least one co-curricular, and 20% are doing 2 or more.
Are they asked to identify the program that they're doing?
Yes.
So do we know where the programs are that destination kids are? Are they programs at their site, or are they coming over to Marshfield?
A couple of the kids listed Watershed as their program, but some of the kids are participating in activities at the high school. And yes, I can go through and look and see. I can't see who they are because the survey is anonymous, but I can see what programs they're involved in. And so I can look and see where students are at and what they're doing, but I just can't tell who they are in this survey.
And do we offer an extracurricular program at destinations?
Destination students can participate in Marshfield athletics and activities. EY and KR, are they allowed to participate in clubs at the high school as well? Do you have any destination students that do Latinx or any of those things? Yeah, they can. Yes. You have a speech and debate student.
Softball, Native Club.
But are there any of those kinds of programs at destinations so that kids?
Every Friday they're doing a project seminar. They have to, but they're signed up with some kind of community-based program or some of the departments of school works in them. So that culinary is maybe Watershed, movement class, and but yeah, they have opportunities like that over at the school.
And do we provide transportation to the high school for them so they can participate in those activities?
Yes.
Yes. Our bus goes directly to the high school, and that's where they catch their bus.
Thank you.
Yep. So next steps, Patty. we're going to keep finding the kids who have not completed the survey. That's, and we are going to work with those kids who haven't done the survey and find out what are their interests, and then what can we connect them to. The student says, I'm really into gaming, find an avenue for an extracurricular that has to do with gaming. If a kid says he's really interested in soccer, we're going to find an avenue for them to join a soccer organization in some way, shape, or form within our community. Same baseball, any of those things. So it's about finding them, figuring out the interests, and then figuring out what avenue to go. And then from there, we're looking at also what expansion could we do for Coos Bay School District activities. A couple kids listed in their comment section, I really would like this. And I don't have an exact example to give right now, but some kids said, I really would like this activity. So we need to compile some of those lists and then figure out what is the most cost effective that we can look at expanding as a district. You know, for example, adding the lacrosse would be tens of thousands of dollars because it's a very expensive sport from my time living in the Valley. But adding middle school cheer and dance would probably be an activity that would be pretty cost effective because we'd have a coach and then some fundraising for some uniforms. So like those kinds of balancing those things, especially as we get into tight budget times. But I'm really happy to see like archery, like 47 kids.
Between there's 15 on the athletics and then almost 30 on the
club team, yeah. And so like looking at them, and that's something that's a 2-year-old program, this second year. So, you know, 2 years, we've got 47 kids connected to a program, and they're down here at the district office after school some days. Some days they're here on Sundays when I'm there working. Like, it's a really great group of kids. So,
is there any with the co-curriculars? I was talking to a case manager at DHS for some of our kiddos who are in resource families, and you'll probably notice a lot of those kids don't do a lot of co-curriculars. And I talked to the case manager and I was telling her, hey, there's a lot of good data out there that kiddos do well when they have co-curricular, when they have a trusted adult. Like, how do we connect that? How do we make that happen? Can we have any type of communication? Because sometimes kids aren't bringing that because they just don't think it's an available option. And so if the case managers don't know about it, then the kids cannot be involved because it's not on the top of the list for that kiddo. But it could happen for them, and I think it should happen for them. So I don't know if there's some communication that can go out with what our clubs are, what our activities are, what athletics are coming up or available, so that the case managers can talk to resource parents and make sure maybe that those kids can get involved in something.
Yeah, it could be just helpful to have someone else saying it.
Oh, and just saying that it's okay.
Some advertising of what we offer and how they can be involved.
And how they can get involved. How do they sign up? Like,
well, and I'll tell you, we have a great group of organizations in our community in terms of a couple of years. I mean, when I was a principal at Millicom, we had a student that really wanted to do the school of dance, and they just couldn't afford it. And I called and talked to the dance school, and they like, just send the kid, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get them signed up, get a parent waiver, and we'll figure it out. I've done that before with soccer kids with Kevin. You know, Kevin's always been great about just send them over, we'll figure it out. We have community people that will help us also get kids connected if we just communicate with them as well.
Yeah.
So.
And just a quick thank you for putting the totals, the numbers of responses. That's great. Really helpful to see how many.
Yeah.
In each of these buckets. So thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, going to go on to last month. We talked about our Oregon Department of Education at a glance from last year. We received our report in November, around the 20th. And so just a reminder that this falls within superintendent goal number 1 about raising academic expectations and outcomes. With alignment of our state accountability metrics, 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation, 5-year completion, K2 attendance. And then superintendent goal 3 of reporting progress on monthly goals to the board. And our KPI indicators that are involved in this report include regular attendance, reading and math proficiency, and our 4-year completion rate. So looking at our at a glance profile, and sorry, I'm going through this as I'm clicking. Attendance, we're down 1% as a district from last year. And I'm working with the COSA attendance cohort. We're going to expand that next year to include more of an attendance team for the district. Right now, I'm just involved with this cohort as kind of a learning. I didn't want to get a bunch of our team involved until I saw that it was going to be worthwhile. And I believe after 4 months, it is worthwhile to be involved in this cohort and see what other groups are doing attendance wise. But we did see a 1% drop last year in our regular attenders. We saw some gains in some buildings and some drops in some others. Third grade reading though, positive, we're up 7% from the previous year. And we're also up 4% in 8th grade math. Now keep that in mind that this is one cohort of kids. This isn't all of the students that are in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So please take that kind of grain of salt. That's just a single snapshot of the cohort. Our on track to graduate was up 6%. Our graduation rate, which we'll get our updated rate, as you know, it was discussed last year, was down 10%. And we're continuing to work through the nuances of some reasons as to why that happened. And our 5-year completion rate was up 10%. I included this graphic of page 2, which shows some of our individual students. But I'll give that to you so you can look at it and do some comparisons to last year. There's a lot of data here, so I feel like going through it. I will say some highlights. We saw some growth in our students experiencing poverty and our special education students. We saw significant gains, especially at the K-6 level in their scores, which is really good. It shows that the programs that we are using to support our students in poverty and the inclusion methods and models that Dr. Crook is putting in place are paying off for our students with our title services and our special education services. I've included each of our schools' metrics for you to look at, just like I did last meeting, so you can go on your own and check out each school's report card and at a glance. Reviewing the data from our county schools like we did last time. Shrink my screen a little bit here in front of me. In terms of students living in poverty, our rate stayed the same. All the other schools in Coos County were up 1 to 4%, except Bannon, which is up 7% from last year. Oh, sorry, David. Thank you.
I got you.
Thank you. And just a reminder, that is that number is compiled using the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance or SNAP program and temporary assistance for needy families. Students are in foster care experiencing homelessness and migrant education services. That's how that number is constructed. All right, David, I'm relying on you. Thank you. Regular attenders, we were down 1% as I talked about. North Bend was up 2%. The remaining schools were up 3 to 7%, except Powers, which was down 17%. Again, Powers, very small student population. Much of their student population, they didn't have enough kids to qualify for the release of data this year. Again, if you don't have a certain number of students in that demographic, it's easily identifiable who's taking the assessments, and so they don't release that number. Next slide, David. Thank you. Third grade reading proficiency, as I said, we were up 7%. North Bend was up 10. Coquille was up 7. The rest of the schools that were on there dropped a few percentages in comparison to last year. And as I said, Powers did not have enough data to have their metric released. Percentage of percent of proficient 8th grade math students in the county. Coos Bay was up 4%. North Bend was up 2%. Reedsport was up 5%. And the rest of the schools were either unchanged or dropped a very slight percentage. And then our last county demographic is 9th grade on track. We were up, as were every school district in the county except for Coquille saw a little bit of growth in that metric. And now going on to our state numbers of similar sized school districts around the state of Oregon. Looking at students experiencing poverty, Coos Bay was the same. Ashland was up 2%. Astoria, same. Cascade was down 1%. And then the rest of the districts were all either up or down 1 or 2%. So very similar across the state, looking at growth or decrease in those numbers. Regular attenders, as I talked about, we were down 1%. Pendleton, Crook County, Phoenix Talent, and South Lane had no change. No statistical change. Very, very, very close. Astoria was up 7%, and Ashland was up 2%. Proficient third grade reading, we were up 7% here in Coos Bay. Ashland was up 15%. Central School District was up 15%. Crook County and Phoenix Talent were up 7%. South Lane was up 3%. Astoria was down 10%, and Cascade dropped by 11%. Eighth grade math. Coos Bay was up 4%. A lot of unchanges, and then some variables of districts dropping, from 1 to 10%. The districts that were up were Coos Bay. Astoria was up 7%. Cascade up 5%. Pendleton up 9% from the previous year. And then our last one is our ninth grade on track. Coos Bay was up 7%. Most of the schools were basically unchanged. Central was down 3%. Phoenix Town was down 11%. South Lane was down 4%. So gives you a little bit of where we're at. I know that was real quick going through that. But it gives you a comparison of where we're at, the schools in our county, around the state, and then where we were at last year. And then my last slide, and we'll take questions, is I want to highlight some opportunities for our students that are happening here for the holiday season. So the first one on the left, our Latinx Club, they are working on the holiday giving tree that's in some of our schools. And on Thursday, I will be going to join them to wrap all the presents up at Heritage Hall from 4 to 8. And those kids have just done a great job. In the middle, we have our Marshfield leadership students that are working on holiday baskets for students. And then also we have our Destination Leadership kids that are also doing the same. The Destination and Marshfield baskets, a lot of those funds are coming from these at-risk funds that Sam came earlier tonight and presented. But so kids giving back to our community and working to help those in need here for the holiday season. I'm super proud of our students and the staff that are working on these things. And it's a great positive to end my superintendent report on for December. Yeah. So questions on data or anything for that matter?
I know you have questions, Katie. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious. So we saw, what did we see? We looked at some of these slides, what,
Correct.
A month ago?
We looked at last month. We looked at last year's slides last year's data on the same
At a
report.
glance.
Yes.
And then something happened and we got more data.
Yeah, I should say, we looked last month at 23-24's data. We just had 24-25 released in November, and
Right.
that is
So
this
that's
data.
what this is. And do you have the technology? You might not. To, like, if I look at a percent of ninth grade on track, you just told us Coos Bay is up 3%, Ashland is down 5%. But that's not on this slide. Do you have the ability to show us the up or down per same size district and in the other set of slides so that you don't have to do all that?
Probably. I don't want to
Okay.
say yes for sure, but I think in here, these smart charts, I could probably figure out how to combine it.
Because I can't remember any of what you just said about what went up or down. And of course, I listened to Coos Bay,
Yes.
but I'm curious about the others. And if those pluses or minus bars or however they could be on there, it would tell the whole picture.
Yes, I'm pretty
Without you
sure.
having to,
I'm pretty sure I can go into charts and figure out.
does that
what
make
to combine.
sense?
Yep, I understand what you're saying.
Because that way, yeah, we'd have more time to talk about other things. This is great. I love it.
Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can you just remind me, Gary, if you know off your head, what is if they're on track to graduate in ninth grade, the likeliness of them graduating is what? Do you remember that? I know it's significant.
It is.
It is very significant to be on track. But I
Mr.
just
Ashton,
was-
do you have a number on, not to put you on the spot?
It's okay if you don't. I can look back.
I will
have
find
the
out.
information. Okay.
Dr. Crook's back there too. Are you Googling Dr. Crook?
It's in her dissertation.
Yeah.
She's looking at it.
We will get that number.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing
I'll
none-
see you on Thursday. I'm going to wrap gifts.
I'm
also.
going to
Perfect.
also,
You
because I
are?
love
Nice.
wrapping presents.
I'm terrible at it. It's gonna be a real treat.
Oh, I really
So,
enjoy doing that.
I
But I'll
hate
have fun.
wrapping presents, but I want to go. I like the people that are going.
Okay. Now we're on to Facilities Committee update.
All right, I've got a little bit of an update. When talking to Loma, here's some projects that he's shooting for. We're looking at getting some new exterior lighting for the north side of Sunset School. And this is to help with the busing zone, is what I'm told. And then new lighting for the Blossom Gulch cafeteria, which I'm told is going to help with the archery program. And then we're looking at some new paint for Milner Crest Gym and new sprinklers for the front half of Sunset School. And we've got a lot of annual inspections coming up over the Christmas break for elevators, wheelchairs, bleachers, backstops and stuff like that. And then last but not least, staff from the OPRD, so Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, State Preservation Office, are willing to offer a presentation in January or February to discuss advantages and potential disadvantages of Marshwood High School complex being eligible for listing as a historic district on the National Register of Historic Places. So David has included on your email agenda the contact information if the board is want to proceed with collecting more information on that.
We have a patron who's very interested in Mrs. Solis.
And I would be interested in whether or not it's our ability to make any changes to the building. That would be my only concern, yeah. Because
Kim has her
mostly
hand
they-
raised. Kim has her hand raised.
Kim?
Hi, yeah, I attended the facilities meeting and it was a great presentation and
Hey, wait a minute, Kim, I'm gonna ask you just to hold on. Your voice is coming out of two speakers, so
And Diane, while we're waiting for that, according to OD, 94%. If a student is on track to graduate at the end of ninth
Knew
grade,
it was a significant thing.
Yeah.
So I just
94% of
wanted
those
to, okay,
students.
94.
okay?
Thank you.
It is.
Well,
That just tells you
Kim, go ahead.
that
is the sound still messed up?
No, but we'll make do.
I was just saying our next step. Oh man, that's hard to hear myself with the echo there. Let me look here. Is it something on my end or is it on your guys' end?
you sound better
No,
now.
I just turned off the
Yeah.
main TV.
Okay. There's something going on. Okay. So anyways, I attended the facilities committee meeting. We had a presentation, like Kevin said, from Cricket, who discussed some of the pros and things. And we did talk about some of our questions regarding if we were going to be able to make changes to the buildings and whatnot. What we narrowed it down to was basically our next step is only in information finding, and her job was to take it to the board to see if we wanted to go further and have a community meeting, which would be, set out, we'd get a place to hold the community. We'd invite community partners that such as, I think she said, the Postal Service and Coos Art Museum, who are who are already part of this historic district charter. And so they would just basically give us a presentation and we would be able to ask those questions, not only as the board, but as community members as well. So I think we're looking for tonight, as I understood at our facilities meeting, just a motion to move forward with having that meeting for the community and for us in order to be able to just get more information. Nothing more right now.
Okay, thank you.
It was a good and informative presentation on facilities committee, and a lot of the work and money has already been invested to establish the historic significance of our high school. And it sounds like from the brief presentation we had at the facilities committee that the limitations on future changes to the building are relatively small, and the grant opportunities are relatively large. But where we left it at the facilities committee was that we should have more information. And so I would move that the board designate David or someone else to find to work to create a time where we can have an information meeting that's open to the community, separate from our regular board schedule.
To discuss this.
Just to discuss information finding.
Thank you, Derek. I would second that.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we look for a spot that we designate David or the superintendent to identify a date on which we could hold a public hearing on the possibility of Marshfield High School becoming part of the National Register of Historic Buildings.
And I just want to make perfectly clear, it would not be a board meeting.
Yeah.
It would be a community meeting to which
Public
you are
hearing.
all invited as part of the community.
Yeah.
To ask these questions.
Perfect. Okay, we have, it's been moved and seconded.
Point of
Oh, I'm sorry.
discussion.
Yep.
I'm looking here on this thing and it says, because of their workload, staff would prefer to arrange a presentation for January or February. And it would be wonderful to make sure that we do invite all the community partners that would want to know about it, especially those who do use the facility.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking of the theater and
would it
other
be
kids.
applicable to hold this event at the auditorium, since we'll be talking about the auditorium?
It looks like it would be a Zoom meeting.
Oh, they want to do a Zoom?
Well,
They would.
Okay.
if you have the technology.
I think in person is better.
Yeah.
Zoom is an option that's part of it. I think that one's better.
They say would be willing to offer a Zoom presentation.
Okay, the presentation could be Zoom. That doesn't mean that the meeting.
Meeting would necessarily.
Right.
Okay,
David
Yeah.
and I can work with it.
Happy to.
perfect. Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Derek?
Aye.
Maybe?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Barney?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
Kim?
I
And chair votes aye. Motion passes.
I have
Okay.
a question for facility. Can I ask?
Yeah,
Trustee Henry
please.
A question really quick. I don't know, about a year ago, HGE came in and they did a presentation when we were in Heritage Hall, and they talked about seismic upgrades to the buildings, and they talked about grants for seismic upgrades and things like that. Did we ever follow up or pursue or follow up with HGE, or is that something that we want to put on the facilities agenda in the future if we haven't followed up on that, or?
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have worked on that. We are currently doing a seismic assessment. We had a draft done through a different engineer. It would have been about May of 2024.
Okay.
However, we are working with HGE to get a final report to get that assessment done. And then we are actively working on looking at potentially the sunset, as we are needing to upgrade some roofs and some things, looking at a larger scale upgrade there. And so we're kind of focusing the seismic assessment on that build.
Okay.
And so it is in the works.
Okay.
HGE is working on that final report to hopefully pursue some assessment grants.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Japan just did.
I know.
Okay, we're up to policy updates. David?
Wonderful. So first item would be prospective policies for review. Does anyone have any policies other than video surveillance that they would like us to look at? Excellent. So you will see our first readings for adoptions here, and I've noted what changes or no changes that have been made for most of them. They all are listed with the changes in red. So if you click into those links, you'll be able to see exactly what's changed in the policy. Many of them we're still working on our policy analysis. I am happy to say that after next board meeting, we will have finished all the deletions. And we just have a fair number of reviews with no suggested changes to continue to work on. So we are moving right along with that. I'm hopeful that come February, that will be 1 year since we started, and I think we will be done, knock on wood. So that's what we're hoping for. And then you will also see first readings for deletions.
It's okay if I ask questions about the reading for adoption, a couple of the policies and reading for adoption?
Sure.
The EBBC resuscitation decisions. It's just, I realize that, it's only minor changes, but this policy, I'm wondering if this is communicated to, specifically, I'm thinking of like our medically fragile students. So what this policy basically says is that our students and staff will not honor do not resuscitate. So if a student has a signed, sealed do not resuscitate from a medical condition, our staff will not honor that. And that, honestly, this is an incredibly rare situation that somebody under the age of 18 would be attending our schools, but that's a really big deal to a family. As a healthcare provider who sees people who go through resuscitations or has seen a person go through a resuscitation that maybe they had actually signed forms saying they really didn't want, this policy struck me as a little bit where the rubber could meet the road could be really unpleasant for families, and maybe we need to be good about communicating this to people who could be at risk for this. It's an interesting thing to have an organization say, we will not honor your request, your bodily autonomy request, even if it's, do not resuscitate orders are physician orders. So to have a district policy that says we don't honor that is odd to me.
What did we, this came up in our last policy committee, and I can't remember. It does get interesting, and I remember reading this too, because even if you think about a do not resuscitate, if somebody is medically fragile, just very medically fragile, and you're performing CPR on them, chances are you might be doing more damage based on how fragile they are by doing chest compressions or something like that. So I do know I just can't remember the conversation around it, because it's not that we can call 911, we can.
But so here, the reason I bring this up is because, I'm also the trauma medical director. And so if our EMS, by policy, if our EMS shows up to CPR in progress, they have to continue that until they go to the hospital. Even if our EMS, when they arrive, would have called the person dead on the scene. And so if we have a policy that we do not honor do not resuscitates, that means that anyone who is trained to do CPR, who sees somebody's heart stop, is obligated by this policy to start CPR, which means our EMS service is obligated to continue CPR, which if somebody has a signed DNR is exactly what they don't want, right? And maybe and I can understand where we don't want teachers or anyone else making decisions about who to give CPR to or not, right? I get that. It just, I think that if we have a policy like this and we are concerned that we may actually have a student have this happen to them, then that family has to know, or we have to have communication about this policy, because having this policy on the books sets us up for a really horrible ending for somebody's life. If it's not communicated and people don't know what's going on. Yes, Kim.
I think that is I never thought of it that way. So Dr. Rogalski, I'm very thankful that you brought this up. But I'm just wondering, is the policy an Oregon statute? Is it recommended by OSBA? How did we get here with this policy? Because I had never really looked at it from the medical perspective, or a family with maybe someone who has a terminal illness and does not have those wishes to go through that process. So what's the history here?
Maybe the best thing to do is to pull this one out for further discussion in another meeting. I know we've got a long agenda and important other things to discuss, but this policy, while it only had minor changes, to me raised some bigger questions about, and I would love to kind of know the history of the policy, or how it relates to Oregon statutes. So that
Most of the reason for the policy is that there is no way we will keep everybody informed of
I was
DNRs,
thinking that.
all of the teachers and other people. And we don't want teachers having to make a decision when they have no information to make that decision, other than to try to save the life of the child. It is really hard for a person, if you think a person is dying, to do nothing. Doctors, DNRs, I understand them really well. We did it with my mom, and it was tough. And we had to sit there and watch us die. But it was the right thing. It was the right thing at the time. Most DNRs are people that are over 18 years old. So, I mean, it's a rare occasion anyway. It's a rare occasion anyway. But to have staff second guessing the ability to take care of a child, I think would not be in the best interest of the school or the kids. And I think it is a OSBA policy.
It is an OSBA policy. It was last adopted by the board in 2009. And it was brought up for review where we added just the /guardian, because not all of our students.
I think the suggestion too, and like you said, to table this for the next policy was though that, yes, maybe keep the policy, but if we are presented with that there is some obligation of the school district to let the parent guardian know, we may not be able to honor this DNR based on, you have an educational assistant, you have a sub, you have a volunteer walking through that may not have that DNR information and could apply life-saving.
Most students who are who would be at risk of this are likely going to spend their time at home, right? They're not going to be at school. So I realize that we're talking about the exceptionally rare situation. And we should table further discussion, but we should be really careful and thoughtful about how we make policy around physician order for life-sustaining treatment kind of decisions, because those moments, how people choose to pass, affects the family for the rest of the life, right? And so I thought that maybe this policy merited more thought.
I would like to look at the legality of a parent taking away the right of the child to be resuscitated.
So I'm happy to reach out to OSBA and follow up on this and see where the legal guidance comes from on this policy.
That would be very helpful.
As well as other options that they may have, because I can't tell what the policy committee selected in 2009, what the optional choices were. So I can absolutely get that. I think the question for tonight though is, this policy is already on our books as is, minus the addition of guardian. Okay. So would it be appropriate to move forward with the addition of guardian and then pull the policy back out for further review with OSBA?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll move forward, but I will check with OSBA and follow up with all of you on other options for this policy, and then we can discuss at policy committee. And if you would like to join us for that, Dr. Rogalski, that would not, well, one of our board members would have to give you their seat.
You can have mine.
But I'm willing to bet we can find somebody.
Yeah.
So we will. So yeah, I'll move towards that, and I'll follow up with an email.
Producer Narni, you're gonna have some data on my regular attender, from a regular attender or not.
And then on the deletion policy, the athletic drug testing program, I would just, as somebody who's a student athlete and was randomly drug tested, it worries me that our policy is basically saying the program manager, i.e. the coach, gets to decide which students are randomly tested. That doesn't seem far enough removed to sort of hold up to people's
A random aspect.
My college soccer team was drug tested, and it was all of the students who were doing really well and were never going to test positive. And that was the coach who got to make that random decision, right? And so I just wonder if that's this sounds like it's hosted by OSBA, but
it's a policy for deletion.
But I think doesn't the new policy say the same thing for the
No new policy.
no new policy?
It's gone.
So there is
it's reflected in the same letters except with an extra A.
There's an AR that's involved that,
So the situation with policy committee on this one is that OSBA noticed that JFCI, the athletic drug testing policy, was not a policy that they had hosted. It was an independent policy that we had created in the past.
Yep.
The policy they have that basically covers this in a little bit different language is the other one linked there, the JFCIA AR. So that policy is on our books, which is student drug testing. This other one, the reason we chose to move to deletion is because it wasn't hosted by OSBA and because we had a similar policy already on the books that was hosted. And the concern is if we choose a policy that's not hosted by OSBA, it's now incumbent on us to be sure that we catch any legislative changes and changes in verbiage over the years and make sure those get applied to policy without OSBA looking out for those things. So that's why we marked this for deletion. But if you would like to look into JFCIAAR, the one that's linked below, and if you have questions about that or would like to move that to the policy committee through prospective policies for review, we can absolutely do that and look at that language as well.
And we don't do any drug testing now at all.
we don't. No. So when a few superintendents ago, the superintendent disbanded that program for equity reasons, and it has not come back since. And in talking with the high school administrators, they feel like it is not the best interest financially or.
Is there some legality stuff around it too?
No,
or-
it's mainly that they feel like the students at the high school are doing a really good job right now of not participating. We have not had issues at high school with drug and alcohol offenses within our athletic code policies, and they feel like that with the cost, some of the items that are within there about random. I use that random. They feel like it's just not in our best interest right now to bring that policy back.
Historically, it has also felt targeted in the opposite direction. If a coach or an administrator thought that somebody else was doing it with like a gotcha or catcha, and they may not have been, but
And we do have a policy. If you're under the influence or whatever, you can't be removed from the team. So that's.
I think my sorry, I think I maybe mixed up the two. I do think that the language that I was concerned about actually is in the new one. The hosted one is the one I was looking at about the program, about it being the program manager who decides. But hearing the discussion about that we no longer drug test and stuff, I think we should. But what we are now doing is having a hosted policy by OSBA is the right way to go. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions about policies?
Just so you know, the history of that one, we used to have local business people who funded the whole program because they felt we should do something to help kids make the right choices. And we had a very rigorous drug testing at times when it was reasonable.
Okay.
And it did get kids a chance to say no.
Okay, we're now going to dismiss to executive session based on ORS 192.660I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open.
Okay. And Kim, I'm going to move you into the room with us. It'll just be one moment.
Okay.
Wants to go up.
Okay, we're back.
We are back.
Okay, we're back from executive session. Next on our agenda is the discussion of the evaluation that we just gave Gary. My intention is to read it into the record and so that the public and people that are here understand how we're looking at our progress so far. Okay, summary. The Coos Bay School Board, after conducting an initial evaluation of your performance as interim superintendent, is pleased with the progress you have made so far in both performance standards and goals. The board acknowledges that since you are so early in your tenure, this evaluation is limited, but the board believes the progress made so far is positive and demonstrates a willingness to hear all voices and consider all opinions in making decisions. The Coos Bay School Board conducted their evaluation of your performance thus far as interim superintendent using the COSA OSBA evaluation workbook as a guide. We looked at the following performance standards: visionary district leadership, ethics and professional norms, inclusive district culture, culturally responsive instructional leadership and improvement, communication and community relations, effective organizational management, effective fiscal management, and policy governance and advocacy. In addition, cognizant of the fact that you've only been on the job for 4 months, we reviewed your progress in fulfilling our superintendent goals, which include raising the academic expectations and outcomes of the district with alignment to the state accountability metrics, 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, 9th grade on track for graduation, 4-year graduation rate, and 5-year completion rate, K2 attendance, and a still to be determined local metric. Developing a long-term plan for the future of alternative education in the Coos Bay School District and prioritizing Destinations Academy, pre-kindergarten, teen parent program, resource linked charter school, CBD 9 online school, and potential childcare programs. 3, reporting progress on goals monthly. 4, investigating and establishing the need for additional programs in the district, including CTE, co-curriculars, and after-school opportunities. And 5, administering at least 2 community and student surveys focusing on climate and student voice. Results will be analyzed and shared with constituents, and finding will be used to inform district decision-making and guide improvement. While the board generally positions you as positively progressing, there were some specific concerns raised. I have included those concerns along with other more positive comments. Visionary district leadership, quote, involves and seeks input from a variety of constituencies. Quote, Gary has done a good job at taking the reins from Justin and preserving the overall direction of the district while making his own adjustments. Quote, the work he has done so far tells me he has invested in our students and staff in Coos Bay. However, a core set of values is not made transparent. Would the superintendent garner more involvement from staff and community with a collaboratively created set of guiding principles or values? And it will be important for him to more intentionally bring board conversations and decisions through the lens of district mission, vision, and core values. Ethics and professional norms. Quote, Gary has done an excellent job communicating about difficult situations with the board. Quote, all communications have professional and demonstrated are professional and demonstrated fair and equitable behavior. Quote, responds to all levels of concern with the same commitment to finding the truth or identifying a solution. However, The district would benefit from more explicit and transparent explanations of your rationale and how it connects to district values and student outcomes. Inclusive district culture demonstrates his commitment to treating students and staff respectfully and has referenced equity and inclusion in conversations. However, he has not yet fully articulated or consistently modeled a clear district-wide vision for an inclusive culture across all schools. Quote, looking for specific practices and resources for teachers and staff that will promote growth and development in this standard. Quote, behavioral support practices concern me. Systems in place are ineffective or incomplete. Culturally responsive instruction, leadership, and improvement. Quote, appears committed to growth of leadership and improvements for the staff. However, I would like evidence of instruction that is culturally responsive or that the staff is trained in its delivery. Quote, data collection has improved, but is not where it needs to be. Data usage to guide education is lacking, but clearly a priority. Communication and community relations. Quote, interest in programs that work in other venues is an important value. Quote, Gary has done a good job of establishing relationships with educational, business, and political leaders in the county and in representing the school district. However, quote, I would like to see the development of a business council to provide input on employer needs and trends so that we can tailor CTE programs to meet those goals. Effective organizational management. Quote, goals that are linked to professional development for staff are evidence of a developing organizational management strategy that is positive and sustainable. Quote, hasn't driven a contract negotiation or to concentrate on recruiting new teachers. Has begun showing a concerted move to retaining performing employees. Quote, good relationships with all unions. Quote, impressed that he recruited another administrator to help at Millicoma mid-year. However, quote, it remains to be seen if he can raise the level of recruits to the district and build his own effective staff. Effective financial management. Quote, thus far it appears resources and budgets appear aligned. However, quote, it will be important for him to more explicitly connect budget decisions with board adopted priorities and to articulate those connections in public sessions. Then there was another comment, but it has been fulfilled. Policy governance and advocacy. Quote, Gary has demonstrated an effective and steadily growing grasp of policy, governance, and advocacy at the district level. He has worked to understand policy context and represents the district respectfully in local conversations. He comes prepared to discussions, listens carefully, and provides information that helps the board make informed decisions aligned with district needs. Quote, Gary has done an excellent job of informing the board about financial and policy ramifications of state and national political developments and in scheduling individual meetings with board members. Quote, continued growth will include building more systemic structure to keep staff, board, and others informed about policy updates and expectations and increasing your visibility as the person who connects day-to-day decisions to legal and policy frameworks. As far as progress on superintendent goals, goal 1, quote, work is underway to better present and explain the data to all constituents. Quote, Gary has just begun evaluating and making recommendations about programs that he believes will raise academic performance and attendance. Quote, at this point in the year, it is too early to see measurable changes in state accountability indicators. Goal 2, Mr. Roberts is still in the early stages of understanding the current status of programs and how they fit together. Quote, a comprehensive long-term plan has not yet been clearly articulated to the board or community, but with time, Mr. Roberts will begin this process. To move forward, he will need to, 1, gather input from students, faculty, and staff across these programs. 2, analyze enrollment outcomes and funding. And 3, bring forward a coherent proposal that clarifies priorities, identifies trends and needs, and outlines timelines for implementation. Goal 3, quote, Gary has shown a willingness to keep the board informed about progress, next steps, and emerging challenges. Quote, he has done an excellent job keeping the board informed on progress towards goals, both district and superintendent. Goal 4, quote, long-term strategic and project management will be needed for this goal. Mr. Roberts has inherited ongoing conversations about expanding CTE co-curricular and after-school opportunities. He is still in the information gathering stage and has not yet brought forward a clear district level needs assessment or recommendation. And goal 5, quote, surveys of students, staff, faculty, and administration have begun, and Gary has reported the results to the board. Quote, this goal is ambitious for a first-year interim, and the work is not yet complete, but it is in progress as we have received some feedback from the initial survey. Thank you very much.
You need to drink of water after reading all
Yeah.
that?
So we are very pleased. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Feedback.
Keeping in mind, this is just the initial one.
Sure, absolutely.
So
Do we need to accept that? I don't think so.
I don't think we do.
Okay, good.
But we do need to move forward with the other piece of information, which is our determination about whether or not we are going to move forward with a full superintendent search, or if we are going to move forward with trying to negotiate a contract for the continued employment of Mr. Roberts as our full superintendent.
Can we have discussion about
Yes,
this?
please.
Okay, so it was mentioned that, the amount of openings across Oregon, and I don't think that should be a deciding factor. It shouldn't matter if there's 30 positions open. It shouldn't matter if Gary Roberts is the right superintendent for the Coos Bay School District. I don't care if there's 5 or 10 or whatever. Based on our experience, what we know of Gary, our decision should be made if we want to open it up or if we think that Gary is the correct individual to carry on the goals that the board has set forth for the upcoming this year and the rest of the school year. So I just want to put that out there because I don't want anybody to feel like we're grasping at straws. But I don't think we are, but I want, and I know everybody in this room is smart enough to understand that, but I just wanted to say it out loud.
And just for complete transparency, what Diane is talking about is that we mentioned the fact that there are 16 current superintendent positions open in the state of Oregon, 5 in this county alone. So does anyone else wish to make any comment?
I would like to make a comment. So, I'm a new board member and I did not have the opportunity to participate in the last search. And so, for the public, when we had our initial discussion about appointing Gary as the interim, the discussion centered around that a future search would be free through OSBA, would not cost the district any money, and that Gary was stepping into a difficult role right before the school year. We needed a superintendent, and colleagues on the board felt he would be a great choice for that. Since being on the board now for several months, I've had the opportunity to work closely with Gary and to see him in action. And I think the circumstances have changed a little bit in that we learned that the search would not be free to the district, so it would incur cost again. And honestly, that's, I think, a more minor factor to me now, because I realized that in talking to many of the leaders throughout the district, that Gary has provided a lot of stability and leadership that this district needs. And so I would just say that Gary has my support to be our full-time superintendent.
Are you making a motion?
I didn't
That
want
we-
to close comments if other people had comments.
No, we can discuss after we have a motion on the floor. That's not a problem, but I will entertain comments now.
I don't hear any comments, but I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to motion that we begin negotiations with Gary Roberts regarding the role of superintendent for Coos Bay School District number 9.
Second.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I think we should hear from the public and open it. Not saying he's doing a good or bad job, just our last round, we didn't get any input, and now we're gonna do it again. So I would feel more comfortable with doing an open surgery. But
And what do you mean by public input?
well, I didn't really know this was gonna go down till about 10 minutes ago. And so I don't think anybody else really did either, except for the 20 online and everybody sitting over there.
Well, we mentioned it before at our last meeting, but that we have to have this conversation at this meeting.
I didn't know that either, so I'm sorry, I must have missed that.
So,
I tend to believe that Gary has stepped up and done the job to the point we are now. He was our second choice in the last full search we did. We spent a lot of time doing that search. We had a lot of input in it. Given from my perspective, where we were in the middle of summer when we found out that we were going to do something to where we are now, I feel very happy with the outcome. So I am more than happy to agree with the people who made the motion personally. So that's where I am.
I hear what you're saying. I also, the motion is to begin negotiations. So we don't know.
That's right.
We don't know what the future holds with those and what that's going to look like. We don't know the outcome of that.
I think that we need some stability here, and I think thus far Gary has done a really good job for us, and I think everything that we're asking of him, he's tried to correct or give new data or give us what we're looking for. The effort is there, the ties to the community is there. I'm not worried that he's going to leave us in a year to take the next big opening or at a bigger district or use us as a stepping stone. I'm confident that we're going to get to keep Gary and develop and move forward. So I support the motion.
With stability.
Yes, that's the hope.
Kim, did you want to comment now?
Yeah, I understand where everyone's coming from. It's such a hard place to be because I think that for transparency, it's really hard. I mean, I think we did go into this like, hey, we're gonna do this for now, then we're gonna open up a search, and like Dr. Rogowski had stated, we were gonna go through this process, and then now it's like, 12 weeks in, it was get this done. We need to do a evaluation of him, and I was questioning like, why so early? And so we had good information regarding him so we could move forward with this process of appointing him as our superintendent or going into negotiations with him as a superintendent. And that in no way means that I feel like he's not the person for the job. I think he has done a fantastic job so far with what he's given, and I look forward to seeing him go forward. I just feel like this was, I don't know, it felt, maybe it was me though. It was probably just me. And I thought we were going to go for a full search, but it probably would be a waste of money and time. And like we said, we thought it was going to be a free search. He was second on our list before. And so that's all I have to say. I always want to feel like we give the public and the community and parents and everyone, weigh into the decision. I honestly think he probably would be obviously at the top of the list for that if we did even opened it up. But it sounds like we don't want to go through that process, and it would probably just be extra money. So that's my input.
Okay. Okay.
That I would second with, I was one of the strongest proponents of going out for a full search when this process started. And my mind has been changed by my interactions with Gary and with Gary's leadership team across the district. In my meetings with school principals and other folks, I think that Gary stepped into a tough job and demonstrated a willingness to learn and get better each day. And I hope that we as a board can help him be the best superintendent he can be, because it's honestly not all on him. It's also a lot on us to give him the meaningful feedback and help him be the best kind of leader our district needs.
Okay. I sense we're ready to vote. It's been moved and seconded that we begin, and I'd like to make a friendly amendment, if I could, that you authorize Marina and I to enter into conversations to negotiate a potential contract.
So it's a motion for you and Marina to begin negotiations, talking about potential contract with Gary Roberts for the role of superintendent proceeding SD9.
Okay. Dr. Rogalski.
Aye.
Maybe.
Aye.
Kevin?
No.
Arnie?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will begin those negotiations. Okay, next on our agenda.
We have more?
Yep. One more thing.
I didn't mean to say that out loud.
We'll probably cut board member highlights today, but.
Oh, no, that's
Okay, we're up to our charter renewal request discussion. We've received communication from Lighthouse School that they would like to continue the relationship, which would require a new contract since the term of this contract is up. And so would you like
Yes.
to?
So the charter committee has met on a few occasions and had a lot of discussion. I'm going to read a narrative report to the board about what our charter committee is recommending. The charter committee review of Lighthouse School District conducted in accordance with ORS Chapter 338 and OAR 581-026-04-0400 finds that Lighthouse School continues to provide educational value and demonstrates measurable academic growth. Most notably, recent OSAS data shows a 3% increase in mathematics performance and a 15% increase in science performance, indicating progress in core academic areas evaluated under State Charter charter renewal criteria. The Lighthouse School also offers a distinctive instructional model valued by many families and benefits from strong community engagement, all of which contribute positively to the district's overall portfolio of educational options. The committee did also identify several financial and operational concerns that warrant attention to ensure the charter's sustainability under a renewed agreement. The Lighthouse School District, or excuse me, the Lighthouse School concluded the 24-25 fiscal year with a $318,109 operating deficit, despite receiving 95% of state school fund pass-through dollars, limiting its flexibility to respond to future funding adjustments. At the same time, the district faces increasing costs associated with the required oversight, specialized student services, and legal compliance under IDEA, Section 504, and ORS 338, obligations for which the district remains fully responsible. Given these conditions, the committee recommends that the board pursue a negotiated renewal that revises funding structures, clarifies oversight expectations, and incorporates risk management provisions. Such a negotiated approach would allow the Lighthouse School to continue serving students while ensuring the district can fulfill its statutory responsibilities in a financially and legally sustainable manner. That is the report from the Charter School Committee.
And can you remind me who is all on that committee?
Yes, that committee consists of myself, Michelle Barton, Kayla Crook, Michelle Barton, Human Resources, Kayla Crook, Special Programs Director, Marina Wright, Finance Director, Arnie, Dr. Derek Rogowski, and Patty Hutchinson from our school.
And I would say that we had very good conversations trying to figure out what the best solution was. And there were 3 or 4 solutions that we could have. You know, we could non-renew, we could do the recommendation made, which was to negotiate, renew and negotiate. And then there was another discussion about whether we just lease the building to them and let them pay that. So we had a conversation about all of that kind of stuff for a good period of time, trying to figure it out. Our feeling is that as the budgets get tighter, we have to be as fiscally responsible as we possibly can be in our district, and we can't subsidize the education of others at the expense of our own students. So we need to have that negotiations. We can negotiate up to 20% of the revenue that comes in, staying in the district to cover those costs. And so we have to look at those kinds of things. And I think all of those conversations led us to the belief that what we really need to do is have a serious conversation with them. And I would say the other thing that from my perspective is important is that we need to continue to develop a working relationship with them that is more give and take with each other. We haven't had those open conversations as much as I think we should have had in the past. Example from my perspective was at the beginning of the school year when we got a bill for $98,000 to help with the drainage in the parking lot before our schools district started, when we were already very tight. And we did end up paying that part. They put a lot of money into that building as well, so they have an investment. But that would have been nice if we'd heard that back when we were having a budget conversation at the end of last year. So
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Or
that's
when
right.
we were putting together our long-term facilities plan.
And the other thing is with respect to the understanding of as time goes on, we're leasing the building, so they're paying some lease for that. But when you consider how big it is and how much and what it would cost to replace a roof, we have a roof replacing at Sunset. It is our building, so those expenses could be catastrophic with respect to the rest of our budget. So those are the considerations that we talked about, and we spent a lot of time having those conversations to come to the conclusion that we came to, which was written in the presentation.
Kim?
Hello. I was just questioning our next move. When we make a motion, so if we say I want to move to accept the charter, does that have to be with the caveat that we're accepting it with negotiations, or is there a yes or a no? We accept it or we don't accept it? Because I got the other email from, I believe it was TLS's director. And so I was just reading over the statutes and the other information around charters. And so I just wanted clarification if it's we vote tonight to either say no, or we vote to say yes, or we have to vote to say yes, but only after negotiations or with negotiations.
What the motion, what the recommendation from the committee was, is that we say yes to moving forward with a contract with them to continue after negotiations happen. So we will have negotiations, but the motion will have to do with, we renew or continue the contract with them with the understanding that there will be negotiations that we have to both agree to move forward.
Is there a time limit on that?
This particular agreement is done at the end of the school year, so I would assume that
It's 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah, it opens up a 90-day negotiation window.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Megan, did you have a question?
I was gonna ask about the timeline and if there was, what to do if you reached a stalemate, if there was a remedy for that. But it sounds like there probably is a process.
There's a process.
Yeah.
There's a process. In there.
Go ahead, Jared.
I was gonna add, getting to that process question, it does say that if an agreement can be reached, the default is to continue the current arrangement. And so, I just think it'll be important for us to have good legal guidance, throughout that, 90-day process.
So are you saying that in your discussions, you learned that if we aren't able to come to a decision, we are stuck with the old terms?
No. We received an email with a copy of the ORS, and what I read in the ORS was that if you don't reach agreements, the default agreement is to continue what you currently have. And
I believe that's till the end of that.
Okay, until the end
But
of the.
we'll
but we should-
continue to work with
Okay.
the government.
So do I have a motion?
Yeah, so I move that the board approves the renewal of the charter of the Lighthouse School for a term of 5 years, contingent upon the successful negotiation and execution of a successor charter agreement. The board directs the superintendent or his designee to enter into negotiations with Lighthouse to develop a revised charter contract for the board consideration.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. It's been moved and seconded that we enter into a 5-year charter renewal with Lighthouse School contingent upon the successful completion of negotiated contract. And the superintendent or his designee have the authority to negotiate that contract. Okay. Diane?
Aye.
Marnie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes.
And can I quickly clarify, the 98,000 was the payment to Knife River for that situation?
That's right.
Lighthouse School did pay their portion.
I agree.
We had agreed upon it. There is contract. It was just not.
It was just
Unknown expense on our building because we're not there day to day. So I think our plan was about 60,000, but I just wanted it to be clear that we didn't pay $98,000 all up front. It was just an unknown expense that came right at the beginning of the school year, so they could have been paid. Still a large expense for a building we're not.
Thank you to the committee for all their hard work on this.
And thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay, Derek, board member highlights.
Yes, my favorite part. So this happened a while ago, but I wanted to shout out the junior high girls basketball team beat North Bend.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal for them. It was a great game. And then I also want to shout out OBOB. I got to see one of their first practices, and they've got new buzzers. And man, the kids love the new buzzer system. They hit Jeopardy, very into it. It's a really fun event. And then if you haven't picked up your copy yet, first issue of the Marshfield Times is out. The students did a really good job. The articles cover a wide range of topics. And they should be really proud of their publication.
It's very nice publication also.
Yeah, well, it talks about everything from the like trends in the high school, these kitty toddler backpacks that all the seniors are walking around with, all the way down to issues with gun violence from a student perspective. So I think really nice publication. They should be proud of what they put out.
They've been award winning for years.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm looking forward to scheduling some time with both Destinations and Little Pirates coming up here.
Perfect. Kevin?
Yeah, I'll give my shout out to Loma over at our facilities for getting a lot of stuff done. They've been doing a great job on getting things done and stuff we don't even know about. They're getting done under budget. So
That's perfect. Marty?
I'm okay for today.
Diane?
Oh, I feel like I always fail Eli here. Yeah, I'm sorry, Eli. You got stuck with me this year. I know. I will say that my professional work crossed over with the ARC project and AYA, and I had a lovely meeting with them and how we can, help those kids that are coming out of school with IEPs or 504s, and I'm just continuing on what their life looks like after they graduate high school and what services and support is out there for them. And that was a really great meeting. And I hope to meet with Melinda again. She is amazing. But that's all I got. And Eli, I promise. I promise.
Hey, but I will say one quick question.
Yep.
I'll say one thing. I went to the site council at Eastside, and I enjoy that. I appreciate more than teachers know the fact that they come to these meetings after a long day of kids, weeks at times, and all of a sudden they have agreed to be on the site council, and they come to those meetings with the intention of trying to make the school a better place. And it is always heartening to me to go to those meetings and see that happen. Amelia did a good job, and I appreciate it.
And Kim, did you want to make?
Sure. I was able to attend Madison's Veterans Parade assembly, and it was very sweet. And I loved the songs that the kids sang. And then also I attended their site council / staff meeting, and it was very different to not have Terry in the library. So that took me a moment to kind of catch up to and experience that. But I would say my school, Madison School, is amazing, and we've got amazing staff. I watched them work with numerous students who some were presenting some challenging behaviors, and people rose to the task and were helping out, and it's just a beautiful moment. So, and then also attended facilities committee. And so that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay.
Patty, before we adjourn, can I just give a quick shout out to the Coos Bay Community Schools Foundation?
Yes,
Coos
please.
Bay Schools Community Foundation. I always get that C in this. That awarded $53,000 in grants.
Wow.
So I just want to take a moment to recognize them, thank them for all the hard work. That committee does an amazing job supporting our students and staff.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
This long meeting.
Thank you.